So first off, thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. We really appreciate you guys hopping on. We love sharing information. So we're very thankful that you're here today. And we hope that you're able to leave with a little piece of valuable information that you can use to add value to your business as well. So let's get started. So this is the hub and spoke trap. So just to get a little context, hubs, when I hear this, I think about airports, I think about bicycle wheels, I think about my husband. All of these things have a purpose. Often your airport hubs can make travel much more efficient for the company and the traveler. Obviously, hubs and spokes on a bicycle are the driving force around how the tire works efficiently. And I'm sure that efficient and effective is a word to describe husbands at some point, certainly somewhere. But where the hub and spoke model starts to be problematic when we're talking about a business or an organization is when this is the primary mode, the default mode of operation for your business. Often we see this to be the case when we are working with business owners who are in operational roles as well. So you're owning the business, or maybe you are a significant business leader and you're tasked with really driving the business forward. And then you're also very much in an operational space. So as your business has grown, you have continued to do all of the things that you were doing when you first started. You're approving all of the things, you're monitoring revenue, creating revenue, and you were doing all those things when all of that was on a much smaller scale. You had no other option but to do it all. But now things are looking up, your company is growing, but your processes have not been growing and scaling in tandem with your business. So maybe you have some limiting beliefs around that as well, that you really can provide the best service to your customers. You know the best way of how things will get done. So welcome, you're in the hub and spoke trap. And have any of you ever felt like the guy in the middle, the one at the computer? Everyone's crowded around you. You're looking, you're waiting. Everyone wants a decision. They want your input. They want your expertise. They want your insight. You're not alone. This is where a lot of our client owners and business leaders find themselves. And here at Ferguson Alliance, this is easily one of the top 5 issues that we help our clients with. You started your business with passion. And might often you have found that in the earlier years, being the one that made the decisions was exhilarating. Maybe now you're likely finding that it's a bit more exhausting. Over time, you have not been able to fully take a week off, maybe even a day off. Your business, like a bicycle tire, cannot run without the hub. So today we're going to talk about some practical steps you can begin to take to add some wheels to that unicycle that you're riding. So who are we? What are we? We are business advisors, and we are passionate about helping businesses to continue driving into what we call the prosperity zone. This is where you can feel your collective efforts all combining and creating value in your business, your team, your customers, and your suppliers. It's a win-win for all of your shareholders and your stakeholders in the organization. And we have some really great webinars kind of explaining our prosperity zone and what encompasses that. And it gets really into the details around that. So I highly suggest you visit our library and check those out. But our team includes David Schlossberg. He's a fellow advisor here at Ferguson Alliance, and our founder, Rob Ferguson. And all 3 of us have worked multiple decades in family businesses as executives, shareholders, board members, owner operators. We have done all of the things. And so trust me, at some point, we have all been the hub. We know what that's been like. So we are here to help. We work with predominantly family-owned businesses. We are exclusive to that niche. We really enjoy the complexity that family-owned businesses bring. And so we understand truly what that means, the challenges that that can bring. And we also understand how crucial that family-owned businesses are to our economy. And so our goal, our purpose is to help in a way to keep those businesses alive as long as they would like to. So that's a little bit about us, and we're going to get into our topic for today. So what is the hub and spoke? We're going to talk about that. How can you free yourself from that trap? Why is this important to your business? And then some next steps that you may be able to take that could help as well. We love questions. We love comments. There is a chat box, so feel free to drop anything into that chat box that you'd like. And also if you want to share. So we love sharing information, but we don't know it all. So if you have something that you've tried that really worked well for you, or something that someone else suggested, please put that in there as well. We love sharing information with everyone, and that helps us be better advisors as well. So put it in there. We will share it with the group, or if you have questions, Rob and David, they're going to be checking that out, and so we'll check on that in the end. So what is the hub and spoke? It, as we've already touched on, the hub and spoke is essentially when you as an owner or a business leader find yourselves in a place where you've grown the company, but you didn't so much scale your processes in your business with that growth for yourself. Maybe the customers that you established in the beginning of your business are still wanting to solely do business with you. Decisions for the organization all need to be made by you. It is challenging for you to be away from your business because you're not there to service the customers, answer the questions, and make the decisions for your business. Is this starting to sound familiar? It often just feels easier to not leave it all for any period of time because it's too much work getting caught up when you get back. And then you're like, I would just actually not like to be away at all. I'll just stay. So how did you get here? This is a very common issue for business owners and leaders. You started with a passion. You truly do love what you do, and you truly do love what your company does. It's very easy to fall hard for all aspects of your business when you love it so much. This is how you have come to personally identify yourself, not only to yourself, but to others. So it's very common to feel very attached to your business. But at times you may feel like, how can I translate this passion to other people? How is it that someone could even get close to articulating the passion that I have for this business? How can you translate that to others? Where should you look for some signs? What should you look into? Where should you start? Where should you tackle? How does the thought process begin to work? So start with this, thinking about what decisions are made on a daily or a weekly basis within your organization. Just make a list. How involved are you in making these decisions? Do you know most of your customers on a first name basis? Has most of your product or service innovations been a result of your efforts? Does the business seem more chaotic for all the stakeholders when you're away? Or do you rarely take time away? And then have you ever experienced growth in the past, but you're now seeing a plateau in your revenue? Or are you just exhausted? You're burnt out. You don't know why, but you know that you're not as fired up as you used to be. These can all be clear indicators that it's time to start reevaluating your whole way of operating your business. And so this is where we are here to help with that. But are you feeling overwhelmed? It can feel very overwhelming. Rest assured that this is what we are here to share with you today, some ways to start some steps to do this. There is hope that you can turn this around. It will be one of the most challenging things that you will do as a business owner or leader. Remember, this is your passion. This is your baby. You started this yourself. Things that you do as a business owner or leader, it can be transferable, but it's hard to let go of your identity to the business, the release of control. We could probably talk a long time about how to release that control. So let's look at some different ways to release yourself from this trap. And then hopefully you feel inspired to tackle one or a few of these. But remember, small steps for big change. Trying to take on all of these at one time can feel very overwhelming. So just remember to be nice to yourself. Small steps will equal big change over time, and it does take time. So where are we going to look? We're going to look at a number of things today. Your process checks, delegation, technology, your employee engagement, your time management. We're going to talk about some worst case scenario planning. Then once you look at all that, how about a little dress rehearsal to try it out? And then showtime. You're going to pull out of your business a little bit for a period of time. So let's talk about that. We like to continually manage expectations as we're working with a client. So again, I encourage you to give yourself grace in this process. It will be challenging. It will be challenging, but start with one and see how things make you feel. Chances are you're hopefully going to feel inspired and you want to take on the next one. You'll also feel a little overwhelmed, but this is often where we find that we can provide our greatest value to clients because we help you reorient yourself, hold you accountable to that, keep you in that bigger picture vision. Sometimes we can get stuck in this daily crisis management that we need somebody to take us back, pull us out and into that bigger picture. So let's talk process checks. If process checks is one that you decide to tackle first, start by looking at your processes as a whole. Do a brainstorm or a brain dump, however you want to look at it, but looking at what are your processes. What is your selling process, your delivery process, accounting, hiring? Start big picture and then work your way into the details as you go. But just make sure not to fall into another kind of trap. And that's where when you're working on something, you discover all of the things that you didn't have. And you're like, we need to make that process now. Don't do that. That's a distraction. That's your brain trying to tell you to get away from the task at hand. Stay on task. Make your list of processes. And then after making your list of these processes, you want to involve your team. Is there a way to get them thinking? Ask them before you change anything, ask them for input. And then now start the work of working your way out of that process. How, again, identifying what role are you playing in those processes that you can give to someone else. Like you can delegate it to someone else. So let's talk about delegation. I don't think I have to tell you much about how challenging this one can be. This is one of the hardest things for everyone. Obviously, if it were easy, everyone would be delegating all of the things. So let's talk about how to make this a little easier for you. Again, start with your team's input. Your team is critical. There are so many studies out there showing that transparency is key to successful leadership. So what that means is like being transparent with your team that you are trying to make the business less dependent on you gives them the sense that you are working to make the business better and not just attempting to give them more stuff to do. They likely have been wishing and waiting for the day that you empower them to make some of these decisions or take on some of these tasks. So I promise you, it will not be as scary. And the more honest and transparent that you can be with them, the better it helps them understand what your goal is. So again, start small. Remember, it can be challenging and overwhelming for everyone. Get a win in your column, but also don't be afraid to really challenge your thinking. Is it really that hard, or are you just convincing yourself that it is? We can have a tendency to do this when we are being resistant to change. So just bringing some awareness with that can really help. And then you also may be thinking, but wait, like I don't have a large enough team to delegate to. It's me and four other people. What am I going to do? This is a great time to pause, think about, do you have the ability to outsource this task to a third party? Or do you really need to be doing it at all? That's also a good question to ask. Then, after you do that, test it out. Likely, it's not going to be perfect the first time, but you want to learn from it and don't give up. A lot of times, one of the hardest things with delegation is that you're seeing someone else do it. It's not how you would do it. But if they're arriving at the same destination, they haven't exploited time or resources, think to yourself, then does it matter how they got there? So test it out, talk it out, learn from it, try it again. And then communicate. We've said it before, we're going to say it again. But remember, the customers that you all know by first name, let them know too that you're trying to create a more empowered business and that you trust that your team is going to take really good care of them. Make sure that that's true. But if your customer feels like you're confident and assured, they're going to feel that way as well. Then let them know that you're there for the transition. You can still answer some questions for a period of time, but start by getting that off of you completely. Then keep the faith. There will be resistance, most likely from you, that it's not going to work out. And yeah, it might not go well the first time, but remember, just keep at it and always adjust as needed. Be thinking about how it's going. What are the things that you can be doing differently, and continue to pivot. Then your team's going to get ingrained in that process as well, and they're going to get better at it. It's just like any muscle. Keep working it out and it's going to get better. Then we have technology. We live in a very technologically advanced world. It can be overwhelming. I admit there's like apps for everything, and there's a million apps for a million of those everythings, but it moves fast. So just as soon as you think you have something figured out, now it's outdated. What are you going to do? But ask yourself some of these questions. Where can technology help? Think about where you're struggling. Is there technology that can help you with that? Start small. So, are you sensing a theme here? Start with something that you have, that you know that you can help, that you need some help in. And is there something that you have researched that will help it? Is it your billing? Are you struggling in billing? Start there. Is it your time tracking? Are you struggling with employees tracking their time? Stick to researching time tracking apps. Is one of those going to help you? Is it your office supply order? Are you the one ordering office supplies? Is there anything you can set up to like subscribe and save? Again, start small. Nothing is too small. If you can free up that 10 minutes, stack those 10 minutes up. Then what are you already using? Because you for sure are already using something that you can improve on. Are you already using Microsoft Teams for meetings and now you want to integrate file storage? Think about it. What do you already have in place that you can stack on that? Then what have you purchased or subscribed to that you aren't using? Can you start using it, or should you break up with it? Let that subscription go. But think about that. What do you already have at your disposal that you can compound on that? Then what are other businesses doing? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is where your networking can come into play. This is where your business friends can come into play. Ask them, how do you tackle this problem? Even if they're not in your same industry, a lot of businesses try and have the same challenges. So ask them, how are you solving this issue. And they're likely going to hopefully point you in the right direction of somebody that can help. Building on that delegation, what can you delegate out to technology? There's tons of apps now that can help you with social media posts, inventory management, things like that. So think about that. What are some things that you can outsource? Technology adaptation can benefit in so many ways. It's also a really great way to create a bigger impact with a smaller team. So definitely something to consider. Employee engagement. This is huge. And if you haven't gathered already, employees are the key to making all of this work. This is your human capital. So a lot of times we like to say, why don't you start by taking a survey of your employees? Get a baseline. Where are they at? What are they feeling? This will provide you with a ton of insight. We could spend a whole hour just about how to structure your survey and what to ask and how to do it. And so this is something that we can help you with for sure. But the big takeaway here is that employee surveys are super valuable, but you need to be ready to do something about what you find out. Your trust goes out the window when you have information, then you do nothing with it. So of all the places to start, if you choose here and you want to do an employee survey, just be ready to do the work around it, or move this one down a little bit because you got to be ready to tackle it. But what this can help you do is empower your people. So you want to come to terms with the fact that yes, they are going to do it different. No, it does not mean bad. Most times it means better. Let them understand the process better from the empowered viewpoint. So many times we find that employees are carrying out processes, but they don't know why. They don't know the why. So it impacts how they're carrying out those tasks. Empower them with the why, empower them with the power to make the decisions and call the shots and see how different that makes your team. It's going to lead to that owner thinking mindset. This is the most valuable mindset that you can have in your team. Owner thinking teams make for owner thinking results. So how many times have you heard somebody say, like, I wish I could just clone myself, I'd get so much more done? You can. It's going to be a lot easier than figuring out how to clone yourself. And that's empowering your people. Communicate, again, communicate, transparency, so valuable. This is going to lead to less assumptions. How many times do you see you're communicating something down, you're not transparent with the why, then people are left to assume the why. What do you have to lose by telling them, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, I'm trying to disseminate some of my duties? Let them in on it. This includes giving them feedback on how well they're doing it. Part of them taking it over successfully is getting that feedback. If it's going well, like, oh, it feels so good to hear somebody say, this is going really well. Get them in the mindset to know that if they could improve upon something, that you're also going to let them know that as well, so that they are constantly aware of where they stand. And they're constantly aware and have the capability to improve as they see fit. This is so important. So really don't overlook this one. And then time management. Just like surveys, we could spend a ton of time talking about time management. And like, can you really know where to put your time if you don't know where all of it's going? So I suggest starting with a month-long study of where your time goes. Some people say 2 weeks. I like to say a month because some things only happen once a month, and a month is usually like a really good time period. If something's going to come up, you're going to see it in the month. If you want to get even more particular, maybe doing it in the first quarter of the month, or there's some debate, maybe doing it in the last quarter of the month, but start small and simple. So I'm going to take my own advice. Try it for a month. Get granular on it and be honest. You're the only person looking at this, so don't lie to yourself. Think about what your typical work hours are for the day and track what you're doing in these hours. And don't skimp on the personal tasks. Track your personal tasks as well. This is just as important. Sometimes we find that, oh, well, it's actually not the business tasks as much as the personal tasks that may be getting in the way and causing some chaos. So start with a good analysis of where your time is going. Then start moving into, where do you want your time to go? Do you want 3 hours of time in your week to work on strategy? Where can you get those 3 hours from? What are you going to stop doing so that you can start doing something else? After you see where it's going and where you want to go, now put it through the tests. Is this where it should be going? What are your goals and values? And is your time aligning with those? What do you need to stop doing? And then what do you need to do less of? And what things are you sure you want to do and that you need to continue doing? Think about all of these things. And again, be honest with yourself. It's okay. Only you know. So think about that. Then encourage your team to do this with their time as well. Where is theirs going? Is it where it should be going? Are there functions one member is doing that another should be doing instead? We see this sometimes in organizations where, one department's taking care of something and it makes zero sense to anybody else that would look at it, except for the people of like, I've just always done this. How do you transition them out of that mindset of like, I know you've always done this, but now we're going to move it over here so that you can expand on these things in your department. And then how is your vision for the organization affecting your time management? And I know this is not something that we really think about often, but if you're constantly shifting that vision, that really can disorient the organization as a whole. Is that creating chaos? Or are you not changing it at all and it's creating staleness? So be sure to think about how that plays into your team and how they operate. And then lastly, in your prep and plan for how to release yourself of this hub position, we dabble into some worst case scenario planning. So some of us are really, really good at this, like myself. So if you want to know, you want to analyze the risks of any kind of situation, hit me up. I can probably tell you all kinds of crazy things. But so it's not something we want to live in every day, but it can benefit us momentarily to spend some time thinking about the worst case scenario if you were to be on vacation for 2 weeks, what that would look like. Then you can build some plans around them before you leave. And then you might find that like, okay, well, even if this all were to happen, it's still not that bad. So if you were to not tend to these tasks that you've identified that only you can do, and no one else did either, how long would it take you and your stakeholders to feel the impact? If you're the one closing all of the deals, would you feel it in a month, 2 months? If you're the one picking out the coffee blend for the office, would you feel it at all? So keep a list of your decisions or situations that arise that need your immediate attention. And then let this be the list of things to start with when you're looking at that delegation. This can really add some peace of mind to you so that you can be away. Be thinking about, what are the things that come up? And if I didn't do anything about them for 2 weeks, what's the biggest impact that the company or the team may see for that? So you've looked at your time management, you've delegated out some stuff, you've taken some steps, you've spent a good amount of time assessing the situation. And then now what are you going to do? It's tough. Some things will likely still need a little work, but remember, you got this. You're starting small. What are you going to do now? You're going to do a dress rehearsal. So before you do anything for real, a dress rehearsal is always a good idea. Think about it as a way to work your way up to what you're trying to do. You're not totally throwing caution in your cell phone to the wind just yet, but you're getting ready to. So pick a time that feels comfortable for you, a time span. Maybe that's 3 days, here or there. Let the stakeholders know that you're going to be away. So whoever you think needs to know, your team for sure, you want to tell your team you're not going to be there. Maybe your customers or your suppliers that you're not going to be there, depending on how involved you are there. Then establish your break in the event of an emergency plan. This gives everyone, but mostly you, peace of mind that yes, you are away, but if something really needs your attention, they will reach out. And then now just be away. That's it. Simple, right? I promise one of the hardest parts is the feeling that you already know very well, because if you attempt to take any time off, you know that the business is up and it's running without you. Maybe you've got some FOMO around this. Is it doing okay? Should I check my emails? What emails do I have? Who needs me? Somebody needs me. You need you. So try very hard. This could also mean maybe deleting some apps off of your phone. Maybe designating that only one person calls you or emails you and everyone else doesn't. Maybe, so one time I took a vacation and I disabled my email app. Crazy, I know. And then I said, look, text me if you need me. My email had a response. This is an emergency. Please contact this person. And then that person would text me. Guess what? They didn't text me. No one needed me. And I remember actually it's been several years ago, but me and my husband were both on vacation and I was like annoyed that no one had called him to like need anything. Like people had called me to need stuff. And I was like, what is what's wrong with your team? Like they don't need you. And he's like, what's wrong with you that you want your team to need you while they're away? He's like, I feel great about it. That means that my team knows what they need to do. They're able to do it without me. And that totally flipped a switch in my brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. So think about it in that way as well. So that's your dress rehearsal. All right, you did some practice. Now it's time. It's here. You're going to put your plan to the ultimate test. So what's the difference between this and the dress rehearsal? Well, that's going to be the time that you're going to take away. You're going to take some more time off, like a lot more time, like maybe like 2 weeks. And I know that sounds bananas, but you've been preparing for this. If there's a fire, you're not going to be the person to put it out. It would burn down before you got back anyway. You will allow things to unfold as they may. Maybe if it involves blood or the government, maybe they're going to call you. But listen, trust your team, trust the process. You got this. So you're doing it. You did it. It's amazing. You are back. You're refreshed. And every good plan needs some follow-up. So when you return, rested, maybe you have a tan, you're feeling very creative, you want to take the time out to talk with your team. All good plans have a follow-up, a follow-through. What are you going to do different next time? So think about this. What went really well? Ask your team, when I was out, what were the biggest wins? Ask them too, what were the opportunities? What processes do you still need to work through? What were some of your unintended consequences of being away? Even your best worst case scenario planning didn't think of this. What came up? Then what surprised you and your team? What things did they see and they took care of while you were gone that just went amazingly? What things did you notice that your team took care of while you were away that were just fantastic? Then what would you do differently next time? And then don't just think about the opportunities. You've already talked about that. What would you do differently? Would you be gone longer? Would you give up more? You want them to feel empowered and invested. You don't want them to feel burnt out. So keep that in mind. But if they're taking on that owner's mindset and they're seeing how great this is and the value that they can contribute, then they need to know, one, that it's appreciated. And then two, how can you help them get the same treatment when they're away as well? How can you build that into your culture? And then how does your team feel about it? How do they feel about you being out? And always encourage them to be honest and transparent. They're hopefully not going to tell you just what you want to hear. Hopefully, they are going to say, you know what? It was a little touch and go. I really didn't like doing this. You'll probably hear a little bit of that. So listen to that and think about what are the ways that you can work through that. So you did all of this, not just for yourself. How does this create value in your business? Why should you do this? Why is it so important that you do this? And again, we've totally covered why it's important for you and your well-being. But now, what about the value of your business? And it's not our default to think, wow, if I were to sell my business, a lot of the value is tied up in me. We don't think that way. And most owners don't think that way. They think my business is very valuable. But when you're operating in the hub and spoke mode, it can often be detrimental to your value. And so, regardless of how healthy your profit margin is and your revenue may be, if you are the driving force, that hub, behind keeping all of the ducks in a row, your valuation will suffer. Too much value generation in one person or even one customer, one supplier. It's all dangerous when it comes to your business and when it comes to how much someone is willing to pay for your business. Maybe think about it like this. You've got a beautiful building that's built from brick. There had to be an architect, right? Someone that had a vision for how the building was going to look. How is it going to make people feel? What's the purpose behind that building? Then that architect went and hired the best bricklayer. She knew that in order for the building to reach the maximum potential that it could be, that it needed to have the best bricklayer to lay those bricks to withstand whatever came for it. But she also knew in order for her to be the best architect to do this, that she didn't have time to learn how to be the best bricklayer. So, as an owner, businesses get the most valuation when their owner is in that architect role. Then you are training up your bricklayers. You've got your bricklayers carrying out those best tasks. So stop trying to be the architect and the bricklayer. About 75% of your business value lies in your intangible assets. That being your human capital, all right? So your investment in your human capital now will translate into your revenue. And if you want to sell your business later on down the road, then it's going to translate into your valuation. If your business becomes too specialized and depending on you for everything, there's not a lot of value to generate if you weren't there. So someone trying to buy a business wants to do just that. They want to buy your business. They are not trying to buy a job. They don't want to be responsible for all the things that you're doing now. So working on these things attracts someone that wants to buy it, that you want to attract somebody that wants to buy it, not somebody who would buy it. So can you see the difference there? Would buying people are looking for a deal. I would buy it. But if they recognize the value of your business and the value that it can bring, then those are the people that want to buy your business. They recognize it, that it's profitable and it's going to be a solid investment that's going to give them return. So they're going to want to buy your business. So very important to consider these things as you're assessing your status in the hub and spoke trap. So we've covered what it is, some things that you can do to alleviate some of those things, and then why that's important to your business. We'll take a peek in the chat here in just a minute. I will point out we have a great opportunity coming up in this fall and holiday season to start looking at this. This is a great time to start testing out being away. The holidays are coming up. Depending on your business, this could be a slower time, but it could also be a busier time for you. Both are great opportunities to test being away and seeing how the organization handles itself. So keep that in mind. I also just can't stress enough the importance of getting your team involved, giving them the empowerment to help you on this journey, allowing them to deliver value to not only you, but the organization, and seeing the benefits of shifting that mindset. So let's check the chat. Do we have anything going on in the chat?
Yeah. Hi, Brandy. We do. We have a question. It seems like this would take a lot of time. Where do you start if you don't have a lot of time?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about time. I think the best thing, one of the first things you want to do is thinking about that time management. You want to know where your time is going. A lot of time, people don't know where their time is going. If you don't know where it's going, you don't know how to get more of it. It's just like a budget, right? If you don't know where your money's being spent, you don't know how to make improvements on it. So start with that time management. That's going to lead you to see some patterns. That's going to allow you to understand better what you can delegate. You will, I promise, it starts the process of going like, why am I doing this? So-and-so could do this for me, or so-and-so already does this. Why am I still doing it? It will get really reflective for you. So again, also with the understanding that the intention is actually not for you to tackle all of these things at once. You want to think about some of these things may not apply to you. They may not add value for you. So start with the time and then think about where those things can go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, again, we really want to thank you for being here with us today. We really can't stress enough. We love interacting with everyone. We love helping people figure these problems out. Our role is to help you feel less alone and get more structured in your organization. So please reach out. Feel free to shoot us over an email, even if it's just to say, hey, what do you think about this? Whatever it may be, nothing too big or small. We just want to interact with people as much as we can. And we are here for you. So anything that you may have, reach out to us, and we really appreciate it and look forward to it. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your week.